Heads up, everybody. I'm B. Francis Clark.
And I'm Anton Anderson.
And this is Sky is Black, future-facing conversations with experts, innovators, and entrepreneurs of African descent.
Covering the entire Black African diaspora.
Worldwide, baby. Worldwide. Shout out to Adejoke Bakare. Adejoke Bakare is a world-class chef and the founder of the West African restaurant Chishuru in London. Sister Bakare just made history as the first black female chef in the UK to earn a Michelin star. The name of her restaurant, Chishuru, in the Hausa language means the silence that descends on the table when the food arrives. You can follow Chishuru on Instagram at Chishuru, which is spelled Chishuru, and learn more at chishuru.com.
And shout out to Ann Winter. She just won an Ezra Jack Keats Award for her brand new book called Nell Plants a Tree.
Nice.
And that award is given to outstanding new writers. And so we're always happy to see wonderful people popping up in the children's book space. You can find out more at Ann Winter, and that's ANNEWYNTER.com. And then Ezra Jack Keats Foundation, learn more about that, is EJKF.org.
And shout out to Jomo Tariku. Jomo Tariku is a world-renowned furniture designer from Ethiopia whose work has been featured in the Black Panther films and in numerous collections and publications. He's one of the founders of the Black Artists and Designers Guild and recently sat down with Kalkadan Tedesi of Malaya at the Urban Center in Addis Ababa. You can follow Brother Jomo on Instagram at Jomo Tariku. That's JOMOTARIKU. And learn more at jomotariku.com.
And shout out to Kenneth Phillips. He is the curator of aerospace exhibits at the California Science Center, and they just did something amazing. They just did something that they call Full Stack. They're currently building an exhibition that will show the only setup in the world of the space shuttle, which they've had there at the California Science Center for a bit, but now they have all the parts, the two external rockets, the tank, and the shuttle itself set up vertically in its original launch position, the only place in the world that you'll see it. You can find out more at californiasciencecenter.org. It's going to be a great exhibit opening in a couple of years.
Poised for takeoff.
That's right.
And shout out to Ruth Gottesman. Ruth Gottesman, who is a former professor, has just donated $1 billion. That's a billion with a B, to the Albert Einstein Medical School in the Bronx with the clear and unwavering instruction to cover all tuition expenses for every single student going forward. Ruth Gottesman, that is how you do it. That is how you give back, and that is how you ally. You can learn more about this incredible gift and the Albert Einstein College of Medicine at einsteinmed.edu.
And shout out to Travaris Strachan. I'm not sure I pronounced his name right, but I gotta say, he's a sculptor from Benin, and he has put out this incredible piece that is sitting out in front of the Royal Academy, featuring nothing but Black and African figures. And it's entitled The First Supper, and it's part of an exhibition called Entangled Pasts. And you can check it out there at the Royal Academy in London. You can find out more about Tavares at isolatedlabs.com, and then, of course, the Royal Academy, royalacademy.org.uk.
And thank you, fellow Wayfarers, for joining us in the Pure Vibranium Circle. So, we are a global podcast, and so we have to give a shout out to our brothers and sisters in Durban and Dakar and Hamilton and Huntsville and Munster and Melbourne and Medford and Monaco and Montauk and Mecca and Mosoro and Mogadishu, and everywhere the African diaspora is standing strong and moving forward.
Including Gaborone, which is where?
Botswana.
That's right. So in Gaborone, the Forbes Under 30 Summit Africa is taking place in May 5th through 8th. Some of the speakers include actor, entrepreneur Nick Cannon, Kennedy Ezeki, who's the CEO of Kippa, and plenty of other folks who will be announced very soon. You can learn more about this event and the other Forbes events at Forbes.com, and then you can click under Connect and Events, and then you'll see the 20 2024 Forbes Under 30 Summit.
And coming up at Brown University in the United States, an event called Global Visions of Freedom, a symposium on Black women and internationalism. It is taking place on April 5th and 6th and is organized by Sean Armstead and the great Keisha Blaine. Some of the speakers include Kaima Glover, Robin Spencer Antoine, Leslie Alexander. What's up, Leslie? Melissa Shaw and Bianca Williams, among others. You can learn more about the event and register and get pumped at africana.brown.edu. And it is a fine school.
Coming up in New York, there's a really interesting exhibition taking place at the Met.
Yes, indeed.
It's called The Harlem Renaissance and Transatlantic Modernism, and it runs from February 25th, so it's already underway, and goes through July 28th. And featured artists include Charles Alston, Aaron Douglas, Meta Warwick Fuller, William Johnson, Archibald Motley, Winold Rice, Augusta Savage, James Vanderzee, and Laura Wheeler Waring. You can find out more about this at metmuseum.org.
And sticking with New York and art exhibitions and the Harlem Renaissance, coming up at the Schomburg, there's an in-person exhibit called The Ways of Langston Hughes, Griff Davis, and Black Artists in the Making. The show started on February 1st and runs through July 8th, and you can learn more and follow them on Instagram at Schomburg Center. Again, that's Schomburg Center. Our souls have grown deep like the rivers.
Yeah. And staying in New York, the 81st annual Whitney Biennial is coming up on March 20th. This is going to be an incredible event featuring artists from all over the world. And this year, 71 visionary artists and collectives will participate in this year's installment. The theme this year is Even Better Than the Real Thing, and will follow in the footsteps of hundreds of biennial artists before them to interpret our current landscape, tell stories, spark discussions, and comment on issues really kind of across various media and disciplines. And you can find out more at Whitney, and that's WHITNEY.org. Or, of course, you can go to Art News. So artnews.com, and then they'll also have an article there talking about the biennial coming up.
And coming up at the University of Virginia, the African American Intellectual History Society is holding its 9th annual conference on March 8th and 9th. The theme this year is reparations, past, present, and future. You can learn more about this at conference.aaihs.org.
And coming up on March 7th, so coming up really soon, over at Rice University, the great KRS-One will be making a rare speaking appearance.
Yes.
You can get tickets and get details about that at cercl.edu, which is Rice's Center for Engaged Learning and Collaborative Research.
And going back to the Schomburg for a moment, we also have to mention that the Women's Jazz Festival, The Gospel According to Nikki Giovanni, is coming up March 4th through the 7th. The Women's Jazz Festival celebrates women of the African diaspora and their contributions to the sounds of jazz. This historic collaboration between former jazz messenger, saxophonist, composer Javon Jackson and the renowned poet, activist, and educator Nikki Giovanni. We're joined by pianist Jeremy Manassia, bassist David Williams, and drummer Akeen Hobson. Again, you can learn more and follow the Schomburg on Instagram at Schomburg Center. That was a mouthful, but it will also fill your spirit as well. Women's Jazz Festival.
Amen. And coming up here in Los Angeles, we've got a couple of events. First of all, for those in LA and in Santa Barbara, KCRW, which is the local public radio station, the Moth Main Stage is returning for a whole new batch of episodes. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a public platform for everyday men and women to tell their stories. And one of the most important inspirational sort of institutions anywhere in the world. And they're hosting events at the United Theater on Broadway in downtown LA, so LA Broadway.
That's right.
On April 2nd, and at the historic Libero Theater on April 4th. To learn more about the Moth, you can visit themoth.org. And then, even more local to us, because we're in Pasadena,
that's right,
the Octavia E. Butler Library is having their annual science fiction festival.
Love it.
And the Octavia E. Butler Library is where? at the Octavia E. Butler Magnet School.
Just was about to say that.
I know you were. Because she's from Pasadena.
Yes.
And you can find out more about that, once again, March 22nd from 3 to 6 p.m., pusd.us. OEB Magnet for Octavia E. Butler Magnet to find out more about that.
So we will look forward to all that as we also look to the horizon. An American-built space vessel is back on the moon. For the first time since 1972, a lunar lander has managed to both reach and touch down safely on the moon's surface. According to the New York Times, NASA paid a private company, Intuitive Machines, $118 million so that spacecraft Odysseus could deliver 6 research instruments to the moon, including a stereo camera used to capture the billowing of dust kicked up by the Odysseus as it approached the surface, and a radio receiver to measure the effects of charged particles on radio signals. Sounds spurious to me.
Well, it's funny. We were talking earlier about the sculptor Tavares, and one of the things that we didn't go into a lot of detail about it, but this piece, by the way, at the Royal Academy,
it's beautiful,
amazing. I mean, it's got sculptures of Marcus Garvey and Haile Selassie and Shirley Chisholm and Harriet Tubman. I mean,
those are the only ones that I recognize in there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them that I didn't recognize.
It's just incredible. But not only that does he do these incredible sculptures, but he also has a piece that's in space. And so part of the thing about having this lander, first of all, aside from actually soft landing on the moon, which is hard to do. I mean, Japan's probe lander face planted and others have crashed. I mean, it seems, for those of you who played Lunar Lander video game, you know how hard it is. And
our brothers and sisters in India getting it done.
Seriously, they did a great job. But I mean, one of the interesting things is a lot of these are not being done by private companies. And so that's going to create more access for more people to space and more of us.
Sky is black, baby.
That's right. That's what you see in space.
NASA is seeking volunteers to help the agency prepare for human exploration of Mars. More specifically, NASA is looking for healthy, motivated U.S. citizens or permanent residents who are non-smokers, 30 to 55 years old, and proficient in English. Applicants should have, quote, a strong desire for unique, rewarding adventures and interest in contributing to NASA's work to prepare for the first human journey to Mars. The mission involves a 4-person volunteer crew living and working inside a 1,700 square foot 3D printed habitat based at Johnson Space Center in Houston. The habitat, called the Mars Dune Alpha, simulates the challenges of a mission on Mars, including resource limitations, equipment failures, communication delays, and other environmental stressors. Crew tasks include simulated spacewalks, robotic operations, habitat maintenance, exercise, and crop growth. Matt Damon, stand up.
Seriously.
So I assume you got your application in?
Oh, my wife won't let me go to space. She has insisted very clearly that I gotta stay put, and I keep wanting to go, and she's like, no.
So Lenovo has produced a ThinkBook laptop concept that includes a transparent display. It's about 17 inches, and you can see through the display from both sides. Can you see yourself working on a clear/transparent display?
It depends. I mean, we had, later we're going to talk about Apple Vision.
Oh, we're talking
Pro.
about the future. We're talking the future.
One of the things with that is that, when you're in that 3D environment, the front of any window that you position out there shows obviously whatever content you want, but behind it, you can't see anything. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of a gray window, which is kind of a funny thing when you look at your information, then, it's, even though it's in a 3D space, it's two-dimensional. And when I haven't looked into this Lenovo product yet, but my curiosity is more about what you see from the back. Mm-hmm. Because if it's very science fiction-y and you see the content from both sides, I have more of a privacy concern than anything else.
The content is not mirrored on both sides, but it's transparent so you can actually see through to the other side.
Okay, well, actually, I think that's actually pretty cool. I'd want to make sure that truly, even now, whenever I'm flying, I'm always inclined to have one of those privacy screens so that even when people are looking at my screen from an angle, they can't see what's going on. I certainly wouldn't want that visible from the reverse side.
Well, when I'm flying, I'm always worried about my cape bunching around my neck as I'm flying at such high speeds.
Well,
that's generally what I'm worried about.
You got to get more aerodynamic cape.
That's maybe so.
I'll work on that.
So Motorola has unveiled a bendable phone that you can twist, you can bend, you can wrap it around your wrist, you can wrap it around this microphone stand. Is that something that you could see yourself potentially using? Is there any attraction in a bendable, foldable phone?
I think they're all going to get smaller. I mean, I think that's just a matter of time. I mean, I think that all these displays, right now we think of, our phone as being this little, small bar, small slab that we throw into our pocket or into our bag. And ultimately, I think either, as we talk about things like, wearables or in your pocket, I think that the ability for it to become even smaller in your pocket and then be able to then unroll or unfold and expand out, I think is definitely the way it's going.
It looks like a glorified sponge is what it looks like a kitchen sponge that you would use to wash or clean something. Essentially an iPhone screen on the other side.
I think foldables are really great. I mean, one of the more interesting interfaces I saw was on the TV show Westworld, where they had a phone, that concept that was, at one point it was like 1/3, and then would fold out to a little bit larger thing, and then would fold out to a full-size tablet, and the content would shift, and I thought that display was also pretty cool. I think all of these ideas of foldable, bendable displays, one then also lends itself to having these displays in other locations. You might have your coffee mug that then has some kind of a display wrapped around it. You could have other things, not just the traditional sort of tablet, slab kind of form factor.
And also, our brother Neil deGrasse Tyson
What up, Neil?
has launched his Star Talk channel on Pluto TV.
Nice.
So big ups to you, Brother Neil.
Excellent.
So today, we'll be reviewing the new Apple Vision Pro. We'll be discussing some important new developments on the AI front. We'll be chomping on some TEFFTASTIC snacks, which are made in Ethiopia and made from the ancient Ethiopian super grain teff. But we begin with a shout out to all of our listeners who have been pushing and prodding and campaigning and clamoring for a video podcast. To all of you, we say thank you, you won, and you got it.
Yeah, here we are.
Yes, indeed. So, first things first, and Emmys, here we come. How you doing?
It is a busy day.
It is.
I would say doing just fine. Everything is good. We've survived all the big rains that came through,
And snow.
And snow. Didn't get any snow for us, but a little drop of slush. Mm-hmm. But it's been fine.
Well, we should probably let people know that this is our second attempt at a video podcast. We actually got together last week to try to do some test footage, and let's just say that it wasn't quite up to our normal standards. Check it out and see what we're talking about. Juvan defeated Nigeria in a very exciting final, so congratulations to Ivory Coast / Cote d'Ivoire. As is the case sometimes in the World Cup, the host nation getting it done.
That's right.
So we are super pumped about that. I had some other events that I wanted to mention too.
I look like a fat and far less capable version of Jordy LaForge.
Go ahead, Jordy. You will cut this part out. Any other sort of things you want to get to?
No.
And I don't mind pulling out my phone. Mark, this is okay. I'm going to pull out my phone. Also want to give a shout out to... I can't see without my damn glasses. Mark, hold on for just a second. I can't see without my damn glasses. So I'm going to put these here. So we'll take it from...
Absolutely. I mean, one thing is it'll work with any Bluetooth keyboard.
They have a do-rag as an accessory?
No. The it's the head strap that comes up over. And this looks like more of the traditional, it's across the top of the head and around the back, and it distributes the weight a little bit more. But it's not quite as cool looking, and it doesn't have the automatic, easy adjustment to it. But
hear me and hear me well. We will bring some accessories to the table that sort of mimic a do-rag and some head wraps.
It's coming.
Trust me.
It actually works pretty well on my skin tone, in terms of being able to click and manipulate the environment.
Can you see yourself working on a document with the device? Can you see yourself editing images on the device? Can you see yourself surfing the internet with the device?
Being able to watch to have your spreadsheet be as big as you need it to be, to have your spreadsheet be, people who are in the finance industry and things like that, they have 2, 3, 4, brokers. You'll see them with 6 monitors, but now you can have a monitor as big as you want.
So you can grow your money from 1,000 to millions just off the display.
Yes,
see, that's what I'm
certainly.
talking about.
And you got this battery pack. People are like, well, isn't that awkward? Actually, normally I don't have it draped across me like this. Normally it would just be sitting in my pocket, kind of behind me. And I wouldn't notice
or
it.
Auditioning for Ghostbusters.
Or I could be like going for the Borg or something. But going back to the movie experience,
everyone says that it's very cumbersome.
It's because it's like a ghost keyboard, and where are you hitting the keys?
So we cannot do this podcast. We cannot do this podcast unless we mention a sister who's doing something very exciting. Her name is Adejoke Bakare, and she is Nigerian and the first black female chef in the UK to earn a Michelin star.
Right on.
So in the Hausa language, Chisuru, Chisuru,
And we all know that feeling when the food shows up and you're like, here it all is, and you just begin to have that, as my mom used to say, you get your mouth all ready, get your mouth set.
That's
that
right.
Food.
Yes, indeed. So we'll be experiencing that feeling when we jump on these TEFFTASTIC puffs in just a little bit. But our focus of this podcast, this episode, is to look at the Apple Vision Pro. You have had a chance to play around with it a little bit. I have not yet. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, first of all, dear listener, dear viewer.
That's right.
Just to be very clear, this is not a... Actually, I'm going to do that again. But it is. It's right here. I've got it right here. And so this is not in the Apple case. But I've actually been really impressed by it. It's a great device. I've really been using it for just about a day, actually. So here comes in the case. This is a case.
This is very exciting right now.
This case, I've got the cool science fiction-y strap on there, and then I'm actually going to take off my headphones and my glasses because I have the prescription inserts already in them, so that way it's set up to.
So when I put these things on, I'm going to be blind as a bat.
It'll when you try it, it'll be a little bit different. And so here it is.
Kanye will be proud of the form factor.
Tighten it up right here, and
Marco. Marco.
And now I'm sort of letting it sort of sync up to me. And now I can see you. Wants me to ask me to move the headset slightly up as it links into me.
Do you see any fishes swimming around anywhere?
Actually, it's still showing the movie that I was watching last. So let me close that and dial back the desert scene that I was just in. It's really meant to really just be a computer strapped to your head. And I think that it's ultimately the future. And quite frankly, to me, this... We talked earlier about the effect that Lieutenant Uhura had, Nichelle Nichols, on Star Trek. And we talked often in a prior episode about how... I'm sorry, it's noticing my hand clicks, and so I'm trying to make sure I make all this go away.
Are you starting World War III right now? Is that what you're doing?
So we'll get that out. So if you're designing molecules and all these other things, they've been able to do 3D for some time now.
I've been planning on designing a molecule sometime this weekend, I think. It's on my list.
Just get one of these, and you can design a molecule.
Molecule, here we come.
You would actually sort of pop in like a ghost. And so I would still be able to interact with you, even if I'm in sort of not my current, space that I'm in.
We're going to start seeing the ancestors with this now.
It wasn't necessarily like, sort of a gimmicky 3D, like Avatar where it's jumping out at you kind of thing.
Don't you call it gimmicky?
I'm not, no, I'm saying that, there's all those things where things are jumping out at you, and you have to duck out of the way of the sword or whatever. I didn't want to watch that, where it was so close to where I was like in the front row and I had to push it back. Actually, on my next flight, I don't care how dorky I look, I'm going to be wearing this and I'm going to be watching my movie of choice. That's where you see the TV commercials of like, on the this. It actually, I think that works.
Well, the fact that you can be scuba diving and on a plane at the same time is pretty impressive.
And then,
so you throwing up some signs to the people?
well, that's actually how you click, is with your fingers. And I'll move that over there. And so, let's see if we can find a good photo. This will be fun.
Stevie Wonder ain't got nothing on you.
See if I can move this. I'll admit I feel a little rushed, so bring it back. We'll cut out hopefully some of the dead air here. I'll move this.
No. This is classic must-see TV right here. Trust me.
Not at all. And I'll hand this to you.
Why, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And there's the battery.
All right, so just strap this baby on.
Yep.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Exactly.
All it shows me is a headset with some arrows.
Right, so once you press down on the digital crown, which is the button on the top right there, and press down on it, just press it down.
Well, as I said, Stevie Wonder ain't got nothing on me either. Okay. Move to the next item. Move to previous item. Okay. Again, this is riveting television right now. This I know, with me sort of moving my hands around trying to figure what's happening here. So I'm listening to something that you can't hear right now. So it's trying to give me a tutorial right now on how to move it.
See if you can come out of that.
When I tap, it doesn't
bring your fingers a little closer to your body.
It's just saying next page button. Okay. Well, again, we're going to get an Emmy Award for this episode right now because
I feel I feel a little remiss because we're a little rushed.
Okay.
And now look at the dot above as it moves up.
Yeah.
And look at it with using your tracker. It's trying to adjust your eye tracking and
now
press the
select
dot.
all the dots around the circle.
So you look at each dot.
Oh, how cool is that? How cool is that?
So look at each dot.
Yeah.
And then pinch your fingers together. And so you want to have your fingers relatively. You're not doing that with your finger. You're not moving. Just look with your eyes. Your eyes are your mouse.
Right.
Now select the next dot. Look directly at the next dot.
Absolutely love it.
And then if you tap your fingers together again, it should pause this and bring you out of that environment.
And now do an electric slide.
And now you can do whatever you want. But that's just really, truly the briefest taste of how this works.
This is amazing.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if this is riveting television, but this is absolutely amazing. So, to those who are looking at me scuba diving right now, the product is phenomenal. And again, this is just version 1.0. Regardless of how ridiculous I may look at this particular moment, the experience that I am having right now is amazing. And so I'm both in an immersive world and still very much in the space right now. So I can still see you, I can still see the set, I can still see our TEFFTASTIC puffs and some books that we have on our Sky's Black Bookshop. I see all of it, and the experience thus far that I've only had for 2 seconds is amazing. Experience. It is absolutely amazing. So hats off and kudos to Apple for getting it done. Blink different.
Exactly.
with the Apple Vision Pro. So absolutely love it. So thank you for sharing.
And we'll do a
this
more
with me.
in-depth conversation about it some other time.
Right.
At Sky is Black, that's really what we're all about. And we want to thank you all for catching our very first, very short video. You can reach me at Anton at skyisblack.com. You can reach BC at
3,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Sky is Vision.
Sky is immersive.
Sky is Black.
Sky is black, baby.
All right, I gotta go.
I know you do.
We'll look back one day, and just as we kind of smirk and snicker at looking at like those clunky CRT monitors, we're going to kind of laugh and kind of chuckle about how primitive it is. And
Speaking to our brothers and sisters who are in South Africa and Ghana, Nigeria,
Right.
in Haiti, and Dominican Republic, and Brazil, and wherever. Here we go.
Sky is Black.
All right, so as all of our most loyal listeners know, Sky is Black began from humble beginnings, and to our credit, that was taking humble beginnings to the next level.
We're the humblest of humble beginnings.
The most humble. So we're going to talk about the Apple Vision Pro more in just a second, but on a more somber note, we haven't done an episode in a while, which means we have not had a chance to recognize on the show the passing of some artistic luminaries. And speaking specifically of the great Carl Weathers and the great Andre Braugher. So most of us know Carl Weathers from the Rocky franchise. He played Apollo Creed, unforgettable character, has done a bazillion roles over the course of his career, including most recently The Mandalorian. And so we want to mark his passing. And the same goes for Andre Braugher, an incredible actor, most known from Homicide: Life on the Street and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But for me, the first time I saw him was in the movie Glory, where he kind of played the Uncle Tom, quote-unquote Uncle Tom kind of character. In fact, his name was Thomas in the film. And not immediately likable, but someone who by the end, when they are fighting, is absolutely giving his all for freedom. And there's the scene where the flag falls down and he's the one who picks it up and keeps on marching into certain death. And that moment, that scene, brings me to tears every time.
Absolutely. I mean, that is an incredibly moving movie. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I mean, it came out like in 1989. It is a historical war drama based on the first Black Regiment in the Civil War, which was the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment.
That's right.
And really, really tremendous. Includes Matthew Broderick, the captain there. But, you know, that movie just brings me to tears. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember just being like completely overwhelmed by that.
And of course, Denzel and Morgan Freeman in that movie as well. So, rest in peace and power, our dear brothers. So in this moment, and especially in this moment, we want to recognize everyone that participated in the 7th annual Black Joy Parade that just took place in Oakland.
That's right, Oakland.
Even in the midst of anguish and private despair, we must always make room for Black joy. That is the parade of parades. Of course, we're in Pasadena, and we're, of course, used to the Rose Parade, which, of course, has it going on. But if you see some footage of the Black Joy Parade, that's the parade.
Yes.
If we talk about high stepping and stomping into Wakanda, it's going to be Oakland Joy Parade style.
It was fantastic.
Believe me. And in that spirit, we also want to celebrate and give some love to our Senegalese sister, Madi Diop, who is a filmmaker. Some of you may know her as the director of the recent film Atlantics, which was good. So she just won the Golden Bear, which is the top prize at the Berlin International Film Festival. The film is called Dahomey, and it's a documentary about 26 works from Benin that were looted by the French and finally returned to Benin in 2021. So, as a Golden Bear myself, go Bears, I have to say that I am immensely pleased that she won this award, and I know I speak for both of us when I say I cannot wait to see it. But one thing that we don't have to wait to see anymore is the new Disney series, Awaju,
That looks incredible.
which takes place in the future, but not just in the future city of Lagos.
From Disney Animation and the groundbreaking storytellers of Kugali
Happy birthday, Tola. This is Oti. You want stars for a pet?
It's great.
comes a Disney Plus limited series
What would you say if I asked you to go to the mainland?
set in a futuristic Nigeria.
You want to see the real Lagos?
Yes, let's go.
Welcome to Lagos, Nigeria.
Tola, your daddy has done well for himself. This is how to fish in large rivers.
Otin, where's my daughter? She's your responsibility. Find her.
Be careful, oh. Some of these people are actually dangerous.
I laugh in the face of danger.
I didn't hear you laugh, oh.
Tola, I got you now.
Go! Actually, kind of cute. I take that back.
So we've talked about this before a couple episodes back, and so if you haven't heard that episode, please go back and check it out. But we've been waiting for a long time for this. What is your sense finally seeing the trailer?
I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a really great show, and to me, it's just another example of, to Disney's credit, of them expanding the tent. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're obviously a media superpower, and for them to put their resources and their weight behind stories that are new to a lot of people, I think it's really tremendous, and I'm looking forward to supporting it. By the way, shout out to Kazazimoto for winning an Annie Award.
That's right.
Because another example of Disney really highlighting some people who previously would not get this kind of spotlight. So I'm excited checking it out. I'll look forward to watching it perhaps with my kids. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll have a review of that in our next Emmy Award-worthy episode of Sky is Black. And speaking of the future, and in this case, the future of fashion, did you see Zendaya at the premiere of Dune 2?
No, but...
Her outfit was as futuristic as it gets. Did you see Dune 1, by the way?
I have not. I have not.
It was interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing Dune 2, actually.
I've heard great things about Dune 1, first Dune. And, it's a hard book to make into a movie. And so it makes sense they already split it into two parts. And I'm looking forward to seeing both of them. I just haven't been caught up on it yet.
Now, it has also been announced that Antoine Fuqua is doing a documentary of Nelson Mandela, which I'm extremely excited about. Aman La. And of course, it has been announced that he will be directing the long-awaited and highly sought-after film Hannibal, about the famous African general from Carthage who took on the Roman Empire. And of course, Denzel will be playing Hannibal, who was also starring in the sequel to Gladiator. So Denzel is getting his action adventure on these days. And some other films that are coming up, too, that we're looking forward to. The American Society of Magical Negroes, which comes out on March 15th. There is Shirley, which we've talked about several times, which is a film about Shirley Chisholm. That comes out on Netflix on March 22nd. There's also a very interesting film that is coming out called Black Tea. We will definitely talk about that one in the future. And of course, there's still plenty of Pan-African films in theaters right now. There's One Love, which is the film about Bob Marley.
That's right.
American Fiction, starring Jeffrey Wright and directed by Cord Jefferson. There's the documentary about Giannis Ugo Antetokounmpo. Shout out, Brother Acho. There's the Netflix film A Soweto Love Story, which I really want to see. And the Sundance film Exhibiting Forgiveness, which has some really nice buzz and sounds really, really interesting. So some really good things out there, and we need to support it all and see it all. LA Pan-African Film Festival.
That's right.
Stand up.
That's right.
And of course, we cannot move on and discuss anything else until we mark the inauguration of the Adwa Memorial in Addis Ababa. So if you do not know what the story of Adwa is, Ethiopia is the only African country that was never colonized. And so Italy tried to colonize the country, but tried to colonize the country and were prevented from doing so. And the big battle that is celebrated in the country is the Battle of Adwa, which took place in 1896 or in 1888 in the Ethiopian calendar. But since that time, there's never been any kind of big public space to really mark that moment in their history. And so after a 2 to 3 year building process, they now have the Adwa Memorial. And it is a beautiful space, and I cannot wait to get there. It is really redefined downtown Wakaddis.
Nice.
So to all of our brothers and sisters, both in Ethiopia and around the world, let us remember Adwa. But right now, let us remember the Apple Vision Pro. So would you please tell our brothers and sisters around the world your take?
Well, first of all, this is not an unboxing video or an in-depth review of the product, directly. Shout out to Marquez Brownlee, who did an amazing set of unboxing and trial videos.
Indeed.
You can learn more about him at mkbhd.com. I definitely say go check out his YouTube channel. So just to be clear, this is not that. Okay.
And that address was hnic.com, is that right?
Something like that. Marquez Brownlee.
Yes,
Brother, we love all the things you do.
Indeed.
His reviews of tech are just absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is not that. This is really just a chance to talk a little bit about sort of my impressions of it. So here it is. I'll take the cover off. I've learned the hard way. You want to keep the cover on.
Mm-hmm.
And really having a chance to evaluate it for a couple of different things. In particular, first of all, you can feel how light it is or is not.
Mm-hmm.
And here is the battery, which is a little bit very close to the size of an iPhone. I'll show you that.
Mm-hmm.
Here is... so here's an iPhone, but so the battery is thicker and heavier than that. But I'll tell you what, I've had it now for about a week, and you saw earlier on our little bit of B-roll. I look like a fat, less capable version of Geordi LaForge from Star Trek.
Stop that. Stop that.
But you know what? But dear listener, take a look at that. That's where we're starting. I mean, everything had to start somewhere.
Yes.
And then, and then go tune into Star Trek and look at where it's going. And the reason why I bring that up is that it's technology like this is a chance for us to have a new space. And is a new space for exploration and a new space for content creation and software development. And, it's really... potentially, I think, a whole new platform Apple's positioning it as a whole new platform.
Well, it's going to change the world. I mean,
I agree.
When it was first announced and they put out the video about it, I sent it to my daughters saying, the world is now officially changed.
I agree.
And I even feel more strongly about that now with holding Excalibur.
But I'll say one of the things I'll say about this, and then I'll put it on. We'll pause for a second and get you set up to try it a little bit. One, I've had a chance to use it as in lieu of my computer screen, so you can actually project your computer screen onto it or through it, and having the ability to, especially when you're on a laptop or something small, being able to then have a much larger screen, I found to be really powerful. Because oftentimes when I've been with clients or if I'm traveling, they're on my little laptop screen, and I'm not a small guy, and so and I don't fly first class. So if I'm on the those seat back tables and everything else, you're very much crammed up.
Oh, we're cramped.
But then to be able to turn this on and to project your screen out onto it, suddenly you've got as big a screen as you want. And that's not to say anything about the entertainment experiences. I mean, the entertainment experiences are, I think, bar none. I mean, I had a chance to watch a video, an Apple-produced immersive video where they were walking around and you could be next to a rhinoceros, and literally I was sitting in bed.
A rhinoceros will rock your world.
But I mean,
FYI.
but then like it's coming up, in a more curated space where they're rescuing them and everything else, and it comes
Here,
up to
rhino, here, rhino.
and in 3D, it was eating like grass, like practically out of my lap, and I could turn my head and look around and see different things, and it's just a tremendous experience. I mean,
That's almost an irresponsible video. Because there's no way in the world it's eating out of your lap. It is actually eating you out of his lap.
Well, they're herbivores, so he wouldn't be eating me. And
those things kill more people.
they are very dangerous animals.
Yeah.
This was in an enclosed area, a paddock, and it was a South African rescue organization that is really trying to help conserve rhinos, reintroduce them back into the wild. But the video was just absolutely tremendous. I can't even begin to describe it, especially the immersive part of it, to where not only do you see the stuff that's coming at you head on, but being able to have things, to be able to swing your head around and see some other person feeding some other animal off to one side.
Keep your head on the swivel.
And it was really amazing. And they have a number of other demonstration videos that were tremendous about it. But going back to my main interest in evaluating it was really as a tool for business. And because a 3D use case, if you're making molecules or if you're doing things that
I'm
lend
always
themselves-
making molecules.
Well, I never always
I'm always making a molecule.
But if you're doing things that lend themselves to 3D, I mean the use case is obvious, and in many cases it's already been done. I mean people are already using these type of headsets for that type of work, and even like to a lesser extent like real estate visualizations and walkthroughs and things like that.
For sure.
To be in a more business, I wouldn't say more business environment, but in a atypical 3D environment, I think that's going to become more typical, is the point. And so, for example, like stockbrokers, things like people like that who normally have like 4 or 5 different screens because they have to have a lot of different things going. Well, suddenly they don't need to have this wall of screens. They could have a device like this, probably a lighter version of it.
Eventually.
I mean, that's to me that's the exciting thing. Is that this is the bulkiest and heaviest it's going to be.
It will ever be. Version 1.0.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably the most expensive it'll ever be. Probably the least capable it'll ever be. This is like the worst version of this product that will ever be.
But it's still the best version of the first version.
Absolutely.
Meaning, if you know anything about Apple naming history, this is the Apple Vision Pro.
Correct.
Which suggests that there is, at some point down the line, a regular Apple Vision.
Right.
And so my guess is that the next version of this will be the regular Apple Vision, pretty much the same features, and then the Apple Vision Pro gets a bigger upgrade somehow or another, both in form factor and functionality.
I agree 100%. And going back in terms of we're an Afrofuturism podcast.
Oh, yes, we are.
Talk about how do we come into the future? First of all,
High stepping and stomping.
Exactly. And looking at the very first time someone sent me a picture of me wearing this, I immediately flashed ahead to Geordie LaForge. And
I always wondered what it's like to be a member of Parliament Funkadelic. That's my question.
Well, there's that too. But I mean, but we've talked about this before on this podcast about how the original communicator, the Spock, get me out of here communicator, was there's a direct through line to the Motorola StarTAC. The iPad. You see a fictionalized version of that also on Star Trek, and obviously lots of other science fiction has been an inspiration for real world technologies. But the opportunity to see this be the first step, baby step, towards...
I think it's more than a baby step. To me, it's a huge, huge leap.
Arguably.
I mean, if this thing is off the hook...
I mean, in the Star Trek universe, it's called the Visor, VISOR. That has some acronym that I'd have to look up. But being able to take a step towards that, and for Geordie LaForge, it was all like neural implant because he was actually blind. But what's interesting is that right now this is really trying to project, augmented reality, to being able to see the real world.
It's amazing.
But then being able to go and potentially even see in like different spectra and things like that, to be able to see things that you couldn't see. And certainly the entertainment experiences I had were ones that I could not have had otherwise. One of the videos I saw was this lady who does these high walking tightrope deals over fjords in Norway, and I'm never going to do that ever. I'll be with the rhinoceroses before I am doing rope walking over a fjord in Norway, 3,000 feet up.
I'll be taking you to the airport saying, good luck, have a great trip.
So that to me, though, the other thing, though, is also on a much more mundane level, is that, with your iPhone, you can take they call spatial video. And so you can take videos of things in 3 dimensions and then play them back on this. And to me, that's been really tremendous. I've actually captured a lot of videos of my kids, like that. And going back to how that affects our people, being able to capture things in 3D, being able to capture these memories, these experiences, I think gives us the opportunity. You can obviously capture with the device itself, but being able to capture in high fidelity an experience and a story. And I think it creates a unique opportunity now for all of us, ladies and gentlemen, not just black people, but creates an opportunity for all of us to really capture those oral stories, capture those traditions, capture those things in a way that, quite frankly, isn't so, pardon the pun, so flat. And being able to do that, to me, I think is really wonderful. Are you ready to give it another swing?
I am, but I have a question though first. So can you imagine a time where people can share the experience with this?
I think that's coming.
Via Bluetooth or via some technology in a way that's not necessarily virtual, because we're not trying to do the metaverse virch thing,
which is not
this.
I mean, trying to do.
I mean, this is augmented reality as opposed to virtual reality.
Correct.
But do you see a possibility or a use case for sharing this augmented reality?
I think 100%. I think that there'll be. Right, I wouldn't even be surprised if it's just simply a software update. Because right now, if we both were wearing one of these, we would both be seeing our own individual screens and our own individual content. But given how Apple's able to take a computer screen and share it high-speed wirelessly to the Vision Pro display, to me it doesn't seem that much of a leap for us to, if you and I were wearing one,
share content,
agree and say, okay, this particular window or this particular content or this particular movie, we're going to watch together.
Shared space.
Yeah, and the building blocks of that are already there. I mean, Apple has Share Play, where you can coordinate and sync up your viewing of videos. I think that if it isn't like version 2 of the software, it might even be a version 1.5 of the software. All the building pieces are there, and I don't think it's that big of a leap to do that. And I think that being able to, I've taken now a couple of Zoom calls actually with my avatar.
You didn't do FaceTime? You ended up doing Zoom calls?
Well, actually, I did. I've done FaceTime as well. But actually, my very first one was a Zoom call. It was funny because I actually was working from home that day and had both. It was the President's Day holiday weekend, and both kids were home, and so I had to take a private phone call. And I learned over the pandemic that your office can be in the car. And so, if we have really private type meetings, we'll take them in the car.
Or the sidewalk or around the block or whatever maybe.
It was raining that day. And so I was sitting in the car, and I put this on.
That will jack your perm all up.
It did mess up my hair, but then again, I kind of I cleaned it all back up. But it was really interesting because suddenly I was able to have a conversation and be able to, because of the 3D effect, you're able to have the picture much larger. And so then, in terms of my field of view, the person I was talking to was life size. And I've done that now a couple of times, both on Zoom and on FaceTime.
Is it disorienting in any way?
For me, absolutely not. Okay. It actually was really incredible. I remember taking with one of my clients a FaceTime call where I was sitting at my dining room table, and I actually had them sitting in a chair, essentially my son's, kid's chair, but they were life size, and so the amount of interaction I felt with them, the personal connection I felt was much different than when you're holding a little phone or even like an iPad and trying to do a FaceTime or a Zoom, because you're very much constrained, and then also because even though it was a rectangle, and I think also that'll be a software update to where they'll be able to take your outline, just like you can drop into a virtual background, they can remove the other person's background to where that person would just be in my space. But having them in my space made me want to clean up the kids' toys. But I mean, because I just felt like that. I felt like I was really with them. And then on the flip side, on the receiving side, the people who've seen my second try, I've done it more than once, my build of my avatar, which is sort of a digital rendering of your face, because when you're wearing this, you're not really actually able to see, a camera on Zoom, like when I put it on right now, won't see your eyes or see anything else, and so it scans it and does a representation of it, which looks a little, you're very much in what they call the uncanny valley. It doesn't exactly look like you, but asking the people I talked to candidly, they said, you know what, it was a little bit unusual at first, but then as you continue talking, because it showed my eye movements and a little bit of my hands and my eyebrows, I mean, it did represent my face and of course my mouth moving.
Bootsy Collins, how'd you get on this phone call?
No, they said it made me look a little younger, which I actually will like. Shout out to Dr. Joy with the some of the facial algorithms there, identifying you as a little younger. My algorithm made me, my avatar made me, my Apple persona made me look a little bit younger, which I'll take, and it was really great. Let me get it started for you, and we can keep talking for a second, and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Well, and while I am checking things out, you can try some of these TEFFTASTIC snacks.
Sure, absolutely.
These, by the way, are delicious. So these are made from Teff, which is the ancient Ethiopian super grain.
Awesome.
So this particular flavor that you're about to try right here is meat mita, which is a signature Ethiopian spice. It's not quite on the level of Berbere, which is the signature spice in Ethiopia, but it's delicious. It's spicy, but not painful. And so these are also gluten-free, and they have a number of different flavors. So again, this is the meat mita, but they also have a chocolate. They have a chocolate sea salt. They have a cinnamon. They have a cluster, which is like these plus raisins and peanuts, which are delicious.
Nice.
And so I bring this up because the founder of this company, Bethlehem Alemu, is one of the most successful and inspirational female entrepreneurs in Africa. She is the founder of this company. She is the founder of Soul Rebels, SOLE, which is a handmade running and comfort shoe company. And she's also one of the driving forces behind Salam Bank, which will be unveiled sometime soon, and we'll talk about that. But she was kind enough to send this to my family because my daughter is gluten intolerant.
Nice.
And so this is perfect for her. And so the only reason why we only have this one is because we killed all the rest of them. Nice. So these are delicious. And just want to say thank you to you, Bethlehem Alemu, for this. It is delicious. We love it. And more orders will be on the way. And so if you guys are interested in learning more about this, go to TEFFTASTIC EATS. So it's TEFFTASTIC EATS, TEFFTASTICEats.com. So try this out. This is how we do Ujamaa. This is how we support one another around the world. And so this is the new way that we get things done. So while I'm on that, or while you're on that, I'll have some of these, and then you can try some on your own. But these are delish. So hold on. So the ingredients are organic black Ethiopian teff, red chilies, afar sea salt, pressed sunflower oil.
All right, let me try a couple of them. And by the way, I have the device on. I can see you, and I've been able to see you this whole time. You can hand one to me. And so for those of you watching on video, I'm able to maneuver and do things very normally. I mean, I can very much see my environment, but at the same time, I've got pictures and a calendar and a few other things.
And a few sharks floating by, right?
No, nothing like that. Those are good.
They are good. So spicy, but not painful.
Right. Seriously. I mean, and so one of the nice things about
Perfect for a sandwich.
Oh, they would be good with a sandwich.
They are delicious with a sandwich. Trust me, I know.
Okay, let me get this going for you before we run out of time.
TEFFTASTIC EATS, slam it.
Okay.
Almost tempted to slam on the table, but
Don't do that.
no.
So I'm taking out my optical inserts. So because I normally wear glasses, as you can tell, I took those out, and you're gonna take your glasses off, and I'm gonna hand this to you.
Okay. I'm going in, ladies and gentlemen.
And one thing I will say while he's putting this on is
If I don't come back, it just means that I made it to Wakaddis.
You're wearing he's using the Soul Loop band, which I found that for short use or for people trying it out, you're going to want to touch that, follow the instructions right in front of you where it's telling you to raise it up a little bit, and then press on the button. There's a button right there.
This button right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Continue to press it.
We got to press on. You got to press on.
Press.
You got to press on. You can't stop. You can't.
Just press and hold it down.
Okay. If you're going to be indignant about it, okay, fair enough.
And so now it's on, and
It is on.
It wants to
Not only on, it's on and cracking.
It's giving you some directions to press and hold the digital crown. And touch it. Press it again. Press the
Triple
button.
click top button for no. That's what I am pressing the digital crown.
Just hold it down, I guess.
Okay, I'm going to touch it. There we go.
Now hold your hands out.
Don't shoot. And that is not meant to be funny whatsoever. We got brothers and sisters going through hell with that very motion right there.
So follow the directions, look at the dot, and then tap your fingers together. You don't need to reach out to touch it.
Oh, yes, I do.
Just touch your fingers together again. And the next one.
Now it's snowing. So I'm selecting dots right now. So I kind of put dots into a circle, and I'm looking at the dots and then selecting them with my fingers. And so,
Yeah, and we'll edit this out.
this is quality television. I said we are Emmy Award worthy. Perhaps not at episode 1. That may not come until episode 25 or so. But we'll get there. Do not despise the day of small things, saith the Lord.
And then just tap your fingers together to acknowledge that safety video. And so now you can kind of see what's going on. You can right now, so ladies and gentlemen, what's happening is I'm actually mirroring the display onto my iPad, which is actually a really cool thing you can do.
It's a good looking calendar you got right
that
there.
way you can see my calendar, you can see some of my photographs, and you can touch actually any of those pictures. Don't change my calendar, please. And actually, if you sort of use your hand and move back and forth.
This is our alma mater right here.
Yes, it is. If you look down at the pictures down below and then scroll your hand back and forth, scrub right, you'll go backwards and keep going further back, further back, further back. You'll see some videos. And if you tap some of those, you'll see now what a 3D video looks like. You might need to scroll even further back, but the whole idea is you can have different memories because those are actually from today, and so I'm not sure if it's loaded into the device or not. But give you a chance to sort of see what the 3D effect looks like there as you're going along. This was actually the Black History Month presentation there at at our alma mater. But if you scroll back, you'll see some other ones that are actually probably loaded
I
into
see
the
a
machine.
djembe in the background right there. So we were halfway home right there.
Yes,
so.
exactly. Keep scrolling back and see if there's any of those that will let you touch. Those might be flat pictures.
Okay.
Now you're moving the window around.
Oh, yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
I don't mean to be, but I am moving around. Okay, let me just see what happens.
And so now you can see you can position things around.
So I can stack the windows.
Yes. So why
that's
don't you
really cool.
Go ahead and press down that button again that you pressed before.
This on the crown?
Yes.
Okay.
And now you can choose different things. Now, and if you
Okay.
look at the one that says Mars rover, you can look at that and then tap your fingers together. And there, right there in front of you on this table is
How
the
cool
Mars
is
rover.
How cool is that?
And so, I mean, the sound's actually coming out through the iPad, but you can look and you can use your fingers to spin it around and look at it, and you can touch where it says and make it full size. Right now, it's just sort of a tabletop model. You'll see there's a little slider in the window next to it that talks about the Jet Propulsion Lab, and you can exactly. So you can make it bigger, smaller, and it's sitting
how
here.
dope is this? This is
table.
amazing.
And
Amazing, amazing. You would think I have no vocabulary whatsoever, but I'm going to say it again. Amazing.
And we don't have a time for a full demo, but this is these kinds of things, being able to explore things, being able to have different memories and different interactions with this.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to talk about this more in future episodes, but we're just wanting to give you a little taste, a little touch on what this does. I mean, and it's innovations like this, and we're going to talk to some experts who are developing new content for it. We're excited about what new content are going to come from people from all over the world to be used in this type of an environment. And truly, these are the kinds of experts, innovators, and entrepreneurs that we highlight here on Sky is Black.
That's right.
We are thrilled to have you here for our very first video episode. Not quite our very first 3D episode, but certainly 3-camera episode. For those of you who've had a chance to be a part of it. And we want to thank you again for being a part of it.
Yes.
And so Sky is black.
Sky is augmented.
Sky is vision in 3D.
Sky is mitmatic. No, Sky is meatmita. Sky is meatmita.
Yeah, delicious, tasty snacks.
Absolutely. Sky is TEFFTASTIC.
Sky is black. And thank you for watching.
Sky is Emmys.
All right.